Hey guys. So I was scrolling through Facebook yesterday, and I was scrolling, watching some cool, funny videos, uh, as you do when you're on Facebook. And I'm getting a lot of people advertising, for taxes, tax planning, and different services right now. And some dude's like, it was a really funny intro to the video. He's like, it was kind of like a play on the Old Spice. It's like look at your current account, and they like have a really weird looking picture of an accountant. Look at me. Look at your accountant. Look at me. And we just keep alternating back between him looking as good as we possibly could, and them looking like as weird and out there as they possibly could. And it was really funny. And he was saying, like he basically said, we're offering CFO services. Blah 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 blah. Now this is where the video went south. What does CFO services mean? Now, most people who are business owners, and there are 31.5 million small business owners inside of the United States, and that's from LinkedIn, where you get this information from. What percentage of them do you think actually knows what a CFO actually means or actually does? What percentage do you think actually knows what an accountant does? What percentage do you think knows what a bookkeeper does? And therein lies the problem. A reason why most people have challenges getting price points they want is because they're not very clear with what the deliverable is. You are not selling a title. Now, the challenge that you might be facing is like you might have bought a program where it's like, we're going to teach you how to be a CFO. And in corporate, like for many accounting professionals, like that's where you want to be, right? That's like the end all be all for a lot of people. They want to be a CFO, and you know exactly what that means in the scheme and in the span and in the scale of a large business, right? So maybe you work at a mid-sized company, maybe you work at a large company, right? And you know exactly what that means because you're so close to the CFO. You know exactly what they do. You know exactly what their tasks are. In a lot of cases, not always, but in a lot of cases. But you actually are in an echo chamber because most people do not actually know what a CFO ever does. Most people don't even know what a CEO does inside of the company. They just think, oh, all they do is just like sit there and just go play golf all day, right? Because that's what you see, but also all the stuff you don't see is what people don't know about that, right? And people like, in a lot of cases don't like how much money CEOs get paid and blah, blah, blah. But that's because we don't really know exactly what they do. Now, when you guys start selling stuff like bookkeeping, right? Or monthly accounting services or CFO services, if you think that everyone knows exactly what a CFO does because you think that they've spent as much time idolizing a CFO as what you have, you are incredibly mistaken. Especially in the role of like small businesses where roles are so blurred in a lot of cases. A lot of them are just like most people who are running a really successful business. A lot of them have not even like ever worked outside of either a family business or have not worked outside of like their own business. Like you'd be so surprised. A lot of people think like, oh yeah, no, most people have like a job and then like then they start their own business. A lot of these guys, especially they have like a liquor store, a gas station, or they have like a laundromat. Like a lot of these guys, like that's on like their first business, like right out of like college, right out of school, right? So many of them have never actually worked in a large organization. And what that looks like is you might have like the office admin that's doing, that's running errands, that's doing the AR, that's doing the AP, that's doing the talking to customers, that's doing the bookkeeping, that's doing the payroll, that's doing everything, right? But that's an office admin. So when you say I'm doing bookkeeping, they're like, oh, I already have someone that's doing that. And yes, they do, but they don't understand the role and why they should actually have split roles, right? I'll give you a good example. One of our students is working with a client who the office admin was doing both the payroll, the AR, and the bookkeeping. And it turns out she stole between $60,000 to $80,000 in a 6 month period from this one business. So she started working in June, and by I think it was like October or November, they had found there's a lot of money missing because she got sick, and the CEO started running payroll for the first time in a while. I was like, she's not supposed to get paid this much money, right? So they don't really understand why they should have separation until it's too late. But that is kind of our problem because if you cannot adequately describe, okay, what you are actually offering to that person, right? Then it's not really their fault they don't understand because they have no reference experience. So I'll give you an example. So let's say whenever you're gonna say a title, I usually don't say titles unless a person asks, right? So you could say CFO. Now you list what services you offer. Is that gonna be trends? Is that gonna be forecast? Is that gonna be budgeting? Then for each one of these different deliverables that you just said, you need to give a sentence or two explainer into what is this thing going to do for them. So we're gonna do X because we're going to do X, that means this, and we're doing that because of Y. Every single time that you make some kind of, anytime there's a new definition that the average person would not expect. Okay. Now, if you feel the business owner is a little bit more sophisticated, then you don't have to like do the explanation of like, okay, so you don't have to define it. So it's like, we're going to do budgeting. You don't have to say budgeting means this. You could just say the benefit of that is going to be this. Okay. Now, that is a judgment call because if you think someone's more sophisticated than what they are, then you risk them kind of feel like going over their head, and they're not going to question or ask you about it until afterwards. You're like, oh yeah, I just don't understand, so we're not going to work together. That's the big thing, man. Like, I was like, dude, how are you spending that much money in ads? And like, you don't even, like, no one even knows that I think it wasn't CFO. He said, I'm doing CF, it was like CF, he said, I'm a CFO. Then later on in the video, he goes, like, I offer CFO reporting. It's like, oh, okay. Cool, man, but no one knows what that means. Like you have to like. I'm so surprised, and like I don't know exactly why I'm so surprised. It's just I get surprised. I'm like, I've worked with hundreds of people who are accountants and bookkeepers, and like when people said that they're not good at marketing, I never fully understand what that means until I actually like see some of these like real examples of like, oh wow, you guys really don't understand marketing, right? Because it's like all marketing is about is just a clear communication of value. So if you can communicate your value on a very consistent basis and you can hold a lot of attention, then you're going to automatically make money. And I never understood that. And like, it makes total sense. Like when I was starting, I didn't know any of this stuff, right? So like, it wasn't until I like started like paying for courses, started having like private mentors and stuff, like work with me and like teaching what I was supposed to be doing. So like, I totally understand like where it's coming from. It's just surprising when it actually happens. But yeah, you have to be very clear. Very clear. And don't assume people know what you actually do and who you actually are. That's the biggest thing. Like, crazy. Now, if you're watching this video and you go around telling people I'm a bookkeeper and no one's understanding it and you don't really understand how to explain your value, it's not necessarily your fault, right? Because most people don't, right? But if you want help learning what to say, whether it's just explaining what you do, or maybe your consultation calls, people leave confused, or you don't really understand how to communicate your value in a consultation call, and what that looks like, how do you know if you're not communicating your value clearly? Number one, they say things like, let me think about it. Number two, they say things like, it's too expensive. Number three, they say things like, I don't know why I should work with you. Or they take 1,000,000 years to get back to you, right? That's how you can tell that you are like not communicating your value too clearly. If you want to avoid that, and if you want to start getting more clients without necessarily having to do more consultation calls, then I invite you to click the link inside the description, book a call with myself. Let's see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program where we teach you exactly how to do this and more. Okay? Yeah, because like once you understand how to communicate your value, like it's just so easy. Like this whole game is just like is all about like the base level skill sets you learn. Once you learn those base level skill sets, nothing can stop you. Cool. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good rest of your day.